Haha, what is going on everyone, and welcome. I'm Wasabi, and today's video is going to be an interesting one. It's going to be about a reaction to the Bricky's video about the Warhammer 40,000 lore. Judging from the research that I did on the internet, Bricky's videos are the most recommended ones for newcomers like me that want to learn about Warhammer 40,000 lore. I've always been someone that was outside looking in when it comes to Warhammer. As I mentioned, I think in one of my previous videos, I've always found it compelling, but at the same time, just as a table game, it wasn't my cup of tea at the same time, you know. And then when I learned that there was like media and video games about it, I was like, okay, that's interesting. There are different like doors that I can access. That allow me to access the IP itself. So a little update about my reading of the Warhammer 40,000 book. I'm still at the end of the chapter 3. I've been busy and I apologize for that. I would like to read it on a constant basis, but unfortunately, you know, working and other things happening in life, I didn't have much time lately. But eventually, after today's video, I'm definitely reading at least 2 more chapters. But I can read more than 2 because there's a lot of going on in terms of names, factions, planets, locations, and weapons. They are really described well and they're really detailed, and each time a name gets mentioned, I have to go back like in the first 2 pages where there's a list of characters and their role within the faction. Also, I have uploaded the first ever episode of the Space Marine 1 playthrough series. Even in that, we have having a blast. Have been enjoying it, taking down on the orcs, and the second episode is coming out this week, so definitely looking forward to it. With that being said, enough of the yapping, let's just dive into today's video, shall we?
In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium exists the Empire of Man, a backwards carcass of an empire comprised of many devoted forces, gigantic robot knights, religious machines.
I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I want to like address it. One of the reasons why I found Warhammer 40,000 interesting and compelling to me is the aesthetics of it. Like, just judging from the artwork that we are seeing now, is just like the whole synth futuristic aspect of it, and also the way the armors are designed and the coexistence of like these half living being that are supported with the AI or like robotic features, and parts of their body being kept, or even the whole body being kept alive with the help of artificial intelligence or artificial components.
Cultists and incredibly heavily armored women, most likely with sweltering abs, and one must know what those abs taste like.
Okay, I didn't expect some Muscle Mummy promo product. Nothing against Muscle Mummies. I love Muscle Mummies. Okay, stop here.
The age of knowledge and enlightenment has ended. The age of darkness has begun.
Interesting.
Roughly 60 million years ago, there existed aliens. And these aliens lived short, painful lives. They belonged to radiation-stricken worlds and often died of various cancers before the age of 30.
So Warhammer 40,000 lore dates back to 60 million years ago. Wow.
These aliens, the Necron tier, looked up to the stars and found extreme beings of real power.
Necron tier.
Or beings with the ability to create life, the old ones of the galaxy. They asked these old ones for help. Please cure us of our ailments. To which the old ones said, piss off.
Rightfully so, because, you know, like weak beings, when they ask for power, they ultimately become corrupted from it. So the old ones are on the right.
So the Necron tier gathered together and did the sensible thing. They declared war upon these old beings and were promptly beaten into the dirt back to their short, painful lives.
Rightfully so.
In the world of Warhammer, there is a hell. This hell is not like you and I know it. It's more of an afterlife, a place where dead souls end up. This place has many names: the Empyrean, the Sea of Souls, the Immaterium, and the Ether. But mostly, we just call it the Warp. While you and I know of hell as a place of horrors and punishment, the Warp isn't really that. Not in the beginning. It's energy, but the kind of energy formed from thought and soul. Psychic energy.
So hell in the Warhammer universe is just like some sort of alternative reality where like the soul of the dead beings go to.
The dead souls of people end up in a place that is impossible to understand. No laws of reality exist. Like, time is merely a suggestion, and it is not something that can be braved easily. The Warp would be like sailing the ocean in a pirate movie. To jump from your ship would be certain death. To stay in the sea for too long on your boat could drive a man mad. And there are many dangerous things lurking in those depths.
Of course.
Yet, the sea is not evil. It simply is.
So hell is just like an alternative reality. It just is. But obviously within it there are I don't want to say it, but how can I say it? There are powerful evil beings.
Mostly. There are more malevolent beings in those waters, areas that you do not sail towards. This would be known as the realm of chaos. The realm of chaos exists in the Warp as a special area led by 3 chaos gods. Khorne, the god of combat, murder, and slaughter, with a pile of skulls taken in his name. Tzeentch, god of change.
Wait. This Tzeentch creature, it resembles the creature that we saw in the Warhammer 40,000 episode of Secret Levels. You know, the thing that killed like Titus companions by like penetrating their minds, and then I don't know how to describe the way they have been taken down, but they were just like killed through their brains, and they're like were bleeding out, and ultimately Titus and I can remember maybe it was the captain of the squad. They were only one that survived because Titus saved him, because he was able to overcome the attack, the psychological attack of the creature, because Titus was able to fight back, where the other ones were like paralyzed and immediately took down.
Change, mystery, and deceit, a confusing paradox of lies.
So it is, or at least it kind of resembles it.
Schemes and sorceries, and Nurgle, god of rot, pestilence, and Genshin impact. All things rot in the end, and Grandfather Nurgle is waiting for you with open arms. These gods ruled their respective realm in the Warp, sending their many followers against each other in the great game to be the most powerful of all the gods. So the Warp exists. Hell is real, parallel to our galaxy, with the realm of chaos and its...
So it is real. So it is like an alternative reality but can you travel to it back and forth? This is the question that I have.
Gods fighting for control. But there are also gods of real space, gods of the normal world too. They're called Catan, and they eat stars.
You think
Catan.
God stays in heaven because He too lives in fear of what he's created?
These star gods saw the plight of our poor Necron tier and how the old ones cast them aside and said, you know what? You guys want immortality? Oh, we will make it happen. We are.
So I assume they gave them immortality, but there's like a heavy price to pay for it, just like in every sort of kind of lore and narrative.
Are the gods of the tangible, of real space. We can give you a cure. So then they ate all their souls.
I knew it.
And turned them into robotic automaton, feasting on their souls and leaving a
Oh, so these are the Necrons. Okay, because I came across the Necrons in their robotic form, but I didn't know the name of them because I saw like some sort of what are they called, trailers or cinematics about the Warhammer 40,000 video games. I think the strategic ones, or I randomly came across some sort of cinematic, but I've seen these before.
hollow shell of an intelligence left that is technically immortal. With the power of an entire species' souls, they turned their new robotic slaves on the old ones and hunted them to extinction. The Necron tier, now the soulless, undying Necrons, got their wish at the price of their souls. But we can count the number of kind gods on an amputated hand. With time, the selfish star gods turned on each other, fighting one another for more chances at glory and power. With this, the leader of the Necrons, Zarek, the Silent King, the man who doomed his species when he accepted this deal, waited, planned, bide his time until he seized the perfect moment and turned his legions of undead citizens against the star god.
Just like as always, whenever someone becomes that powerful, they can taste that kind of power that they can achieve, or yeah, the kind of power they can like wield with their hand or with their body or with their mind. Ultimately, they go against that source of power, the powerful beings that gave them that kind of their, in this case, the immortality.
Gods cannot be killed, but they can be broken. So Zarek broke the star gods into thousands of pieces and locked them away in vaults, taking their free will away as they did to them, and sealed them away as basically Pokemon to be used as weapons in the future.
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Pikachu!
It's the Void Dragon.
Zarek then, with his perfect memory, exiled himself for his sins, flying out to the darkness between galaxies to atone for what he had done. This entire situation, the genocide of the Old Ones and the rebellion of Zarek, will go down in history as the War in
Okay,
Heaven.
the War in Heaven. Okay. So the War in Heaven is like the first real age within the Warhammer universe.
The most brutal war the galaxy has ever seen and ever will see. This was a conflict that took an entire galaxy-spanning species and pitted them against gods that ate stars. The Necrons, rather crippled from, you know, the war in heaven, decided to go to sleep in gigantic tomb worlds on various planets until the upstart species of the galaxy died out. And so turns out, when you have a war that lasts tens, hundreds of thousands of years and involves the genociding of multiple species, the old ones of the galaxy, and the consumption of souls from an entire race, the warp gets a little wacky.
So the warp is basically hell, the alternative reality. You know, there is a balance between the two, I assume. He will explain it further, but I assume that there is like some sort of balance, and whenever like you are transferring souls of the deads from, in this case, the universe to the to hell, there's obviously an imbalance, and obviously the balance that was within the hell becomes to becomes basically chaotic. So I assumed like those souls are going to be claimed and become part of the three factions of the three gods, and then the fact that they will go at war against one another, it will become more chaotic, create more chaos. Sorry, the game of war, the repetitive of words. It will create more imbalance between the two realities, and therefore I assume that they might create like some sort of portals where like the evil creatures from hell can travel and become like a threat, a powerful one within the universe of the Warhammer.
You know, if you had a kiddie pool and it was nice and calm, Korn is over there splashing about, so you don't really go in that direction. Nurgle has explosive diarrhea, so you don't really go in that direction either, but you can still kind of get in the pool. The pool's still fine. Turns out when you add a couple trillion souls to that kiddie pool, it'll make the waves a little more turbulent. And turns out a lot of
So I was kind of right, but I didn't explain it thoroughly, just as he said.
them like to pick a side, Nurgle, Tzeentch, or Khorne. So the once calmer warp, the once relaxing kiddie pool, has now been bloated. A million years of war will certainly make Khorne, god of murder and slaughter, more powerful. A million years of war will probably make Tzeentch, god of deception and change, a little more powerful. And good God, a million years of war will make Nurgle, god of decay, oh, just the tiniest bit more powerful. Now, entering that kiddie pool is no longer fun, it's dangerous. The warp is now a problem. Hell is resembling hell a lot closer to what we imagined it originally. The Sea of Souls and the Realm of Chaos are now intertwined. So who else to brave the galaxy than a species that won't need to deal with that? The Eldar are space elves. They have a lot of the traits that you probably think of when you think of elves. Tall, slender, pointy ears, a bit more androgynous looking, no matter what DeviantArt will tell you, and a bit stronger on the emotional side. The old ones, as I mentioned, could create life. And when they were getting, you know, absolutely bodied by the Catan and the Necrons, they made some new races to try to help them. One of them
So the Eldar are created by the old ones.
was the Eldar. It didn't save them, but they're here now anyway. Oh, and also the Orcs, but they're busy right now.
And the old ones made Eldar and Orcs. I also like the Eldar, the fact that they have like the early design chainsword.
The Eldar are a particularly psychically powerful race, so they were really adept at being able to handle the new turbulent warp of chaos and good at killing Necrons, hence why they went to sleep. Being psychically gifted is basically like being a wizard, but you get your wizard powers from hell. This is called
So hell is also like a source of power, and I imagine there's like a price to pay for that.
Being a psyker. And basically, if you want to do cool wizard shit like lightning from your hands or reading someone's mind, you can do that, but you siphon the energy to do that from the warp. Luckily, the Eldar are very good at handling this without too many negative effects because, you know, summoning power from the Sea of Souls with the new Chaos friends can be a bit of an issue, but Eldar are pretty good at it. And you see, what's really cool and also awful about Warhammer is that most developed species travel long, faster than light distances by going through that warp. They create a tear in reality to unreality and move through it. Faster than light travel? Cringe. We go through hell itself to deliver your packages. For those
Okay, so they travel. They travel through hell. They create like some sort of portal that allows them to go from one point to the other in the universe. I don't want to say it because he said that it's cringe, but they are faster than what is it called? They're faster than speed of light. Not speed of light, sorry.
error in reality to unreality and move through it. Faster than light travel?
Light travel, light travel.
Cringe. We go through hell itself to deliver your packages. For those of you who play Minecraft, you know how the nether is like a pocket dimension? So moving 10 spaces in the nether is actually moving something like 1,000 in the real world. That's basically what warp travel is. Just much like in the nether, there are a lot of things that want to kill you. The Eldar found a way to do so in between realities. Not regular reality, not the warp, something else. A purgatory of sorts, a fabricated psychic realm that allowed them to travel without fearing the negative effects of the warp. The Eldar
So they were able to create like some sort of gate or gates to travel from one point to the other without having to go through hell.
were the perfect fit for the new galaxy, and they took it with open arms and pointy ears. The empire of the Eldar spread everywhere, and it spread all the way until now, the 21st century. That's right, while you were watching NPC streams on TikTok, the space elves were ruling the galaxy, and they did so for quite a long period of time. The 21st century came and went. Humanity grew and grew, all under the nose of their elf overlords. At this time, humans advanced, your classic sci-fi style way. We began to expand.
One of the questions that I had when it came to the lore of Warhammer was, what about the history, or the history of mankind, like humanity, because, you know, like Space Marine, not era, but like, the Space Marine period is the most that we are focused on. But one of the ones that I was thinking about was also, what about like the 21st century, where the ones that we're living in, what about mankind? What were they doing? Were they advanced, or were they just like, you know, like us?
Colonized our solar system, terraformed our planets, created new and more powerful machines and starships. The age of Terra, also known as Earth, but we call it Terra here, was here and existed between the 21st century all the way until the 15th millennia. Not much is known about this time, not much needs to be known.
So, okay, it's not much is known, but at the same time, we progressed, we terraformed planets, we traveled space, we create like advanced spaceships. Okay.
Humanity grew up.
It's not much, but he answered in part of my question.
Sought the stars. It's classic. Then came the years between 15,000 and 25,000, the age of technology, or to some, the dark age of technology. This is when humanity reached a new apex of technological understanding. When you think of sci-fi, there's a lot of things you can think of. Star Trek, maybe Star Wars style, you can go cyberpunk dystopian. The age of technology was deep sci-fi, like a scientific prowess that fringed on magic. This is also when the first ever psychers began showing up in humanity. Individuals with the genetic mutation to be able to access the warp, and then because of that, travel through it. Humanity was no longer constricted to their early ways of travel. With warp travel, they could go anywhere in the galaxy.
Dark age of technology, he said, where psychics and advanced technology coexist. I mean, I imagine what could go wrong.
Equipped ships with gigantic AI machines, with everything you would ever need to know about mankind, and sent them out on colony ships to expand their influence across the galaxy. And this was truly the golden age of humanity. And with every golden age, there is a fall. While the new human upstarts of the galaxy were reaching new levels of technology and prowess, the Eldar were engaging in
Debauchery!
debauchery! Debauchery! What happens when a species has everything? You can produce unlimited food out of nothing. Your need for farmers and workers, gone. You have dominated the stars and have created a fast travel system that doesn't rely on the dangers of the warp. You have nothing else to do.
It's the ultimate ultimately it's the beginning of the fall of an empire, I assume, because as you mentioned, they reached so much where they no longer needed like people help or to enslave creatures to make food, because they could make food out of thin air. So they also have conquered the space, every galaxy. They had everything. And just like the Roman Empire, when you are that big and you have everything, ultimately you digress.
Have no struggles, no problems, and feel as if there is nowhere else to go. Well, you begin to experiment. The Eldar started harmless enough. You take a serious interest in your species' culture, your arts, paintings, poems, plays. These are Eldar, elves. Remember? Their emotions are heightened, more powerful than us humans. So your plays get louder. They start to push on the limits of your hearing ability. Your music becomes different, more deranged. It pushes the boundaries of what is art. The visual spectacle of art becomes more bizarre, more delusional, more eccentric. And let's not forget,
I do wonder what if the Eldar as a species were doing we're taking like what do they call it, mushrooms, or they were doing like LSD. If those kind of drugs would like amplify their emotion and their psychological abilities.
very important sense. Touch. Pornography is one thing. Brothels is another. What if they all mixed? What if your brothels were part of your art and music? And what if those became more deranged? The boundaries of debauchery were not just met, but shattered. Next thing you know, murder is commonplace and often mixed with the art, music, and sex. Pain is a common byproduct of entertainment. Whatever sensation you can have must be increased.
So they are basically amplifying every kind of sense known to them.
Must be enhanced, must be taken to the limits. The Eldar Empire slipped into a nightmarish realm of debauchery and excess, with the worst of it taking place in a city in the Webway, a black market for these kinds of heinous acts known as Kamara. Some Eldar saw the writing on the wall, saw what was happening to their species and how far they had slipped. So they boarded continent-sized starships called craft worlds and left their empire, seeking a more enlightened, calmer existence among their peers. Some, those in Kamara, pushed it to even greater heights, relishing the pain and torment they inflicted on those around them. All during this, the warp, the yin to the yang of the
the feeding of the warp, hell. All those souls that are traveling to hell, they are creating more and more imbalance.
The world was fed by these emotions, by the psychic power of the Eldar, by the souls taken in these depraved acts on a galactic scale. And just like that, Eldar ended. Slaanesh, the fourth
Interesting design of Slaanesh.
Chaos God, was birthed into existence and consumed the souls of 90% of the Eldar population.
90%. So she was created and then she consumed the soul of 90% of Eldar. Yikes.
Those that fled were spared the worst of it, and those in the Webway and Kamara were able to stave off the pull of Slaanesh so long as they continued to commit horrid acts of torture.
So basically the ones that tried to escape were cursed because they were the ones that ultimately got murdered. And the ones that stayed in Kamara, as he said, were able to survive because they were the ones that they were feeding the goddess.
And violence. But for the majority of the Eldar, their empire died with Slaanesh's birth. The new fourth chaos god, she who thirsts, the god of unspeakable excess of pleasure, pain, hedonism, and perfection, had been born. With the fall of the Eldar Empire came the ruin of humanity. Slaanesha's birth sent storms in the warp across the galaxy, making travel between star systems impossible. Coupled with a huge classic
So she basically cut it off, like the ability to travel across the space.
AI rebellion is a staple in these sci-fi settings, humanity began to suffer the age of strife. Now, planets that relied on intergalactic travel were completely cut off. Long-range messages normally sent through the warp were snuffed out. If you were a planet that was great at mining stuff but couldn't get food, well, you know that movie about the rugby players in the mountains? Oh, and because of these insane warp storms and fluctuations, psychers began to appear among the human population a bit more often. Now, this initially had them hunted down as witches, because that's pretty common in this setting, but some deemed it right to protect them. Unfortunately for those people, psychers, because they open a gateway to the warp, don't really know how to use their powers well, and they kinda attract demons, who
Wow, so basically the psychers are basically like a gate, or like some sort of magnet, have this sort of magnetical, as a magnet, they basically attract demons, and ultimately they are a cause of destruction of their like surroundings, and they obviously attracting like these evil creatures. Ultimately the population gets taken down.
Then force their way through the psyker as a conduit of sorts and begin to slaughter the population of your planet.
So they become like a portal itself. Yikes.
The Age of Strife was a catastrophic period of time for humanity and set back their progress tenfold over the not one, not two, but 5,000 year period. During this time, the age of humanity that we know began to form. Worlds equipped with large mechs for agriculture began to equip them with weapons to defend from alien and demonic invaders. Over 5,000 years, this became a custom and tradition, dubbing them as night worlds, a feudal society of honor-bound knights in gigantic robots that uphold the chivalric code to defend their worlds and honor. A group of individuals on Mars, after radioactively bombing their planet to become inhospitable to human life, ran their entire lives underground on the few life support systems keeping them alive. Those technicians who could work on the machines and keep them operational were revered, and over 5,000 years went from skilled members of society to full-blown priests. The cult mechanicus, or
So they call cult mechanicus. Okay, I've seen these cult mechanicus before in like the Warhammer cinematics. Also, we saw them in the what it takes to become a Space Marine video, where we did like the reaction to it, and we saw like they are the ones that follow the process, or are in charge of the process of like changing the physical aspect of the subjects that are becoming or about to become Space Marines, and also doing maintenance on their bodies.
tech priests of Mars formed in the ashes of the Red Planet with a religious fervor and doctrine on the cult of the machine god. And on Earth, or Terra, techno-barbarian tribes waged war across the planet in a Mad Max style of blood and gore, until finally, a mysterious man who lived in the shadows of Terra for millennia finally revealed himself to the populace.
The man, the myth, the legend, the Emperor.
His name was the Emperor. He deemed himself the Emperor of mankind. Where did he come from? I don't know. Why is he 10 feet tall and the most powerful psyker of all of mankind? I don't know. Why is he basically immortal? I don't know. Where'd Cotton Eye Joe go? Who knows? But he's here, and he isn't happy with all of you ripping up Terra. So he began the Unification Wars, where he and a very early version of the famous Space Marines, the Thunder Warriors, reunited Terra under a single banner: with blood. Then, after taking over Earth, he reunited the Thunder Warriors into the fucking dirt. This is where we get the Imperium of Man, also known as the Imperium. The new faction headed by the Emperor of Mankind with a
I like how the emperor looks. He has like this golden armor with I don't know. He kind of gives me vibes of someone that wants to obviously unify, but not only that, he wants to conquer, but he does it in a way where he wants to like really take down the evil ones, and he has like this sort of golden aura that surrounds him, but at the same time he's thirsty of blood.
treaty signed with the Cult Mechanicus on Mars to spread out and reunite humanity after the catastrophic Age of Strife. But first, the Emperor is going to need some smaller versions of himself. 20 of them, 18 of them, I meant, gene-crafted sons of the strongest human to ever live. All of them possess unparalleled strategic power, intelligence, formidable strength and size, a real powerful force to unite humanity and stop the chaos of the current galaxy. Speaking of chaos, you ever seen that image of that guy? It's like throwing the baby like a basketball? It's about what happened. The Chaos Gods intervened and grabbed the 18 Primarch gestation pods and yeeted them across the galaxy at a whim, everywhere they could possibly go. A galactic game of keep away. So the Emperor had to get them back. So begins the Great Crusade, a crusade across the stars to reunite not just humanity, but the Emperor with his fallen sons.
So they basically split his sons, and then he had to travel across the universe to get them back.
The first to be found was Horus, one of the strongest and most noble sons.
Sounds familiar, his name.
The Emperor carried with him a legion of newly crafted warriors with genetic material made from their Primarch father. These are the newly made Space Marines.
Yes.
For Horus, his were the Luna Wolves. And as the Emperor continued on his great crusade, he found—
Oh look, it's the same artwork that is on the cover of the book.
more and more of his sons, reuniting them with their individual Space Marine legions. Leman Russ, the cunning hunter with the Space Wolves. Rogel Dorm, the Phalanx with the Imperial Fists. Angron, the Barbarian, the very angry with his World Eaters. Fulgrim, the Perfect with his Emperor's Children. And Jagatai Khan, the Swift, the Stoic, and his White Scars.
I know these names because some of them are mentioned on the first 3 chapters of the book.
Those were just some of the 18, and one by one his lost Primarch sons were returned to him, and their Space Marine legions returned to them. The Great Crusade saw humanity once again reconquer the stars, returning worlds of humanity back to the Imperium and killing any and all who stood against their noble crusade. But in the years of the 31st millennia, treachery would break this all apart.
Men, we don't know what we did.
Horus, the Emperor's most beloved and favored sons, named War Master for the Crusade, succumbed to the power of chaos and daddy issues, all because of that bastard Erebus. Yo, fuck Erebus. Slowly, Horus would become corrupted, turning the Emperor's sons against him. This begins the most pivotal moment in our story, and the one that has like 50 books written about it, the Horus Heresy. 9 of the 18 Primarchs turned against the Emperor, and the following years were a bloody battle for the throne of Terra. The Emperor originally was working on a special webway project.
Yeah, this is what I'm currently reading, but I don't mind like the spoilers because I already read the intentions of Horus within the first like couple pages. So I kind of have like an idea of how things will eventually play.
just like the Eldar, to make faster than light travel significantly easier and safer. Really improve humanity to allow them to conquer the stars without the risk of the warp. Well, this big red idiot named Magnus kind of blew a hole into that, literally and figuratively. So Big E over there is stuck on a gigantic golden throne, holding back the oncoming rush of demons and powering the Astronomicon.
So I've seen like artworks of like the emperor sitting on the throne and having like these tubes attached to his body, and I assume like he was like half dead, if not totally dead, but his body is still used like some sort of device or weapon for some reason. And in his case, he explained it.
Basically a big North Star for people who are sailing in the warp to help them navigate. The Horus Heresy saw many loyalist and traitor legions pitted against each other in a bloody war until it reached Terra itself. Horus, unable to break through the lines and with time running out, made a gambit and opened his ship up to be boarded. The Emperor took this challenge, quickly allowing someone else to take control of the throne as he teleported his way onto Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit. The Emperor, unable to truly kill his most beloved son, changed his
Just as always, whenever like someone has to kill their son, they can't do it.
his mind right quick when Horus strangled the life out of his other son, Sanguinius.
So Horus killed Sanguinius, and obviously the emperor did not take that well, I assume.
Oh no!
I'm sure you've seen this image at some point.
No, I didn't see it. First time seeing it.
The Emperor then said, "I'm not gonna sugarcoat it," and proceeded to psychically blast Horus into complete oblivion, killing not only his body, but also his soul. Horribly
So he killed him. Ultimately, okay.
wounded from this duel, the Emperor is returned to the Golden Throne in order to keep the demons at bay and power the Astronomicon, because without it, humanity would be flying blind. There he sits, slowly dying from his wounds and the strain of powering the Golden Throne.
So yeah, he's completely dead, but he's still doing his job.
The only thing keeping him alive is feeding upon the souls of 1,000 psychers every single day. This was 10,000 years ago. We are now in the 41st millennium, modern day. Warhammer 40,000.
So I'm not reading Warhammer 40,000. Technically I'm reading Warhammer 30,000. Sorry, the joke.
The Emperor remains on his throne. The Imperium is a rotting carcass of an empire, a fascist, xenophobic cult that works.
Kind of explains it, since I play like the Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 1 video game, and like I think I edited it out, but like there's like a port where like some where like one of the team members calls the orcs the green skins or green faces. I can remember correctly, but yeah, I had to imagine there was like some sort of xenophobia and like some space fascism.
Worships the Emperor as a deity despite him never wanting to be seen as a god. Over the span of 1 million worlds, the ecclesiarchy, the church of the Emperor, is spread throughout. Inquisitors with unparalleled power root out any sign of heresy or lack of devotion to their god Emperor. The other half of the traitor legions move about as Chaos Space Marines, raiding and pillaging the Imperium, while the loyalist half does their best to keep the Empire alive. All throughout this, they must endure orc invasions, Eldar trickery, the reawakening of the Necron race, and the Great Devourer, the newest tyrannid threat from the darkness between galaxies that has arrived to feast on their worlds.
Wow, there's so much going on. Not only Space Marines have to take on chaos, but they also have to watch out, because obviously we play Space Marine 1. There are orcs, tyrannids, eldars, and the necrons be coming back. So I mean, there's a lot going on.
The theme of Warhammer 40,000 is regression and intolerance. Every major faction in Warhammer has had an empire that spanned the galaxy only to be crushed back to a hollow shell of what they once were due to their own failings.
I never thought about the theme of Warhammer 40,000. And now that he mentioned it, I have to agree, like, judging from what he explained, he's 100% right. You have like these factions that are trying to expand and conquer the universe, and then they try to achieve more and more, and then they slip, and then they fall into degeneracy, and then they crumble, but at the same time they try to reestablish themselves, and they get corrupted, and you can coexist within the Warhammer 4 universe, like coexisting, for example, within a planet. It's impossible because one of the two factions will eventually try to dominate over the other one and try to demolish it and make it extinguish. So I never thought about it. Now that he presented this part of the Warhammer 40K universe, I feel happy, not happy, but I feel accomplished that I learned this.
Culture, the arts, personal freedom, religious tolerance, the simple possibility that alien life might not want to kill us is considered heretical and is often met with a pistol to the head. There is
So you basically doomed if you do, and doomed if you don't, because if you don't not rule, but if you don't kill the other alien species, you are going to get killed eventually.
no time for these things. All there is time for is worship of the God Emperor and a million wars to be fought. To be a human in the 41st millennia is 99% of the time to live a horrible existence, to be one of trillions of other humans across a million worlds throughout the galaxy. A galaxy where AI is outlawed, so humans are repurposed and lobotomized to become slaves. A place where lack of devotion is met with death. And if you even have devotion, there is a good chance the threats to the galaxy, chaos, and aliens will kill you anyway. Warhammer is a world where you revel in being bad.
Yeah, I mean, judging from what you said, living in that kind of universe is it's rough, to say the least. I mean, unless you, even if you become a space marine, then you will have to take on the challenge of taking down orcs and tyranids and necrons and whatever the threat is. You are constantly fighting and fighting and fighting again every time, and there's no peace unless you obviously die. But like being a human being, let's just say you are a normal human being, you're basically dead. And even if you are talented, or you have like some sort of a physical features, or you undergo the challenge to become a space marine, and then you become a space marine, then you are constantly fighting, and you're constantly in the front, or traveling back and forth across the space, or maybe you go into the warp, and you're fighting chaos or every other kind of um, faction that represents one of the gods of the warp, and you are constantly fighting and coexisting in the Warhammer universe is basically considered heresy. And basically, even there is no middle grounds, what I'm trying to say. And pistol to the head and you're dead. And yeah, this is like one of the things that I didn't think about besides other things. So there is like, you're either with us or you're against us, and there's no middle ground, or like you can declare yourself what's the word, for some reason I can't think about it, not independent, I can't remember it.
There are protagonists, there are antagonists, but every faction is some shade of evil. Because playing the bad guys is always more fun. And my friend, you have a selection. So pick up that las gun soldier. You and the other 3 million men and women in this single deployment on this single world in this single battle will now show them the might of the God Emperor. That weapon in your hands has killed 99% of the alien populations in this galaxy. Unfortunately for you, soldier, you're fighting the final 1%. May the Emperor be with us. Glory to the first man to die, for in the grim darkness of the far future, there's only war.
Yes. I mean, Bricky's video is fantastic. Maybe I would do a reaction to other his videos. But yeah, I mean, we learned a lot. I mean, I expected in part to be deep when it comes to the Warhammer lore, but to that deep, like starting all the way like 60 million years ago, with the old ones not giving power to those that ultimately became Necrons, and then you have like these ages that are called and not established, these ages that are different from one another because the beings of that universe had to go through wars, decay, and falling from the heaven of achieving the ultimate power of becoming a powerful society in this case, as the Eldar did. But yeah, overall, like I feel like I've learned a lot. I definitely looking forward to learn even more, not only by consuming videos but also learning via the books in this case. And in the previous video I think I said that of these there are like 6 books, but ultimately it turns out they're like 8 if not more, so I apologize for that. But yeah, thank you for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I enjoyed Bricky's videos a lot. Definitely I feel like I learned a lot, as I said. And this week also second episode of the Space Marine 1 playthrough. If you don't want to miss it, subscribe to the channel because more content is coming related to Warhammer. After this video I feel like more excited. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thumbs up, subscribe. If not, thank you for watching. I'm Wasabi, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.